Welcome in, and what the Pel is up, everybody. This is our first edition on the YouTube channel of BLEAV in the New Orleans Pelicans. What's normally a podcast is now here on YouTube as well. It'll be a little bit different here for those of you who are new. This is just going to be quick little blips of the podcast, and I'll let you know how you can find the full bore thing at the bottom of this clip today. But for right now, we are talking the Stan Van Gundy hire. I'm sure you've heard of it by now. If you're here looking up New Orleans Pelicans here on Twitter and finding this video, I'm sure you've seen it from ESPN, from Woj, from Andrew Lopez, but here we are really breaking it down on today's show. Now, if you are a fan of the podcast, you already have heard a lot of this stuff. But for those of you who are new, also, by the way, this is completely unedited, obviously. You're going to be hearing the entire breakdown of what we know about SVG and what he will bring to the Pelicans in New Orleans. Now, we don't want to waste your time, so we're going to get right to it for you Pelicans fans, you diehard Pels fans. Now, Stan Van Gundy, for those of you who don't know, is 61, has a career record of 523 and 384 in the regular season in his NBA career, 48 and 43 as a head coach in the playoffs, and between the postseason, he has a 57.7% winning percentage in, I should say, the regular season rather, and then a 48 and 43, like I said, in the playoffs, which I believe that's .527. I might have copied that wrong, so it's .427. But he's been in the league since 1995, hasn't coached since 2018, where he was with the Detroit Pistons, and in his tenure since being in the NBA, I should say, he's coached the Miami Heat, the Orlando Magic, and the Detroit Pistons. And over those seasons, coaching a full 11 seasons, like from the beginning to the very end, before either losing his job or whatever, being fired, deciding to move on. In those 11 seasons, he has 7 winning seasons. And in those 4 losing seasons, 3 of the 4 were with the Detroit Pistons, which is a garbage franchise. So take with that what you will. But in terms of his time with the Heat, he did coach Dwayne Wade and Shaq for 3 years, was very integral and part of building who Dwayne Wade became who he is. And he coached Shaq, who is very similar to Zion on the offensive side of the ball. Obviously, Zion's not 7'1", so there's a difference there. But in terms of explosion, size, and explosion and explosiveness, very similar to Zion Williamson. Now, transition to the Orlando Magic. Kind of the same thing when you're running into Dwight, with the sheer power and the explosiveness, the presence on the basketball court that Dwight Howard had. You're looking a lot like Zion Williamson. Obviously, we've never seen something like Zion Williamson before, but these are some of the closest comps that we have. And over Stan Van Gundy's tenure with the Orlando Magic, he did make the NBA Finals in that 2008-2009 season. He had 2 59-win seasons. Coached JJ Redick over his tenure and ran that 4-out, 1-in offense scheme with Dwight Howard in the middle. And if we go for the rest of Dwight Howard's career and recognize him as what he is now, a role player, we will do basketball really a disservice, because for those of you who were fans at that point in time, we're watching a lot of NBA basketball. We know how dominant Dwight Howard was over that period of time. And with that 4-out, 1-in type of offense, he was able to do work with guys like JJ Redick, Hedo Turkoglu, who was an absolute bucket back in the day, Rashard Lewis, Courtney Lee, Jameer Nelson, and Michael Pietrus shooting the 3-point shot. Now, from his tenure with the Magic, you bring that type of offense to New Orleans, that's scary. It's going to look defense is going to look quite different, but that offensive side of the ball, you love to see that type of offense. That's the type of offense that's going to work, especially with the type of passer that Zion Williamson is, that we know him to be. So we see that and we love that. Pistons, I think we all know how that went. That was pretty ugly. But really looking at who SVG is. I don't think it's representative there in Detroit. That can scare a lot of people off. But we have to remember he was the president of basketball operations there, and he will not have that role in New Orleans. That is David Griffin. Trajan Langdon is taking over the GM position, so we don't have to worry about that as Pelicans fans. Now, for SVG, not just looking at his career, but who he is as a person, as a coach, SVG is known as a structure, strong personality guy. He is meticulous and can be kind of known as a micromanager, but he's also really known for attention to detail. Also known for accountability. So basically everything that I just listed is the exact opposite of Alvin Gentry. And if you are and have been a Pelicans fan, you love to hear that. Am I right? Gentry was known mostly for being a player's coach, a really good dude, which is substantial, it's true, but that doesn't make you a good basketball coach. It just doesn't. And Gentry was very laissez-faire. We know the quote from the bubble where he said, "I didn't feel like our energy was a problem tonight." And the energy was a problem tonight. You were down by 40 to the LA Clippers. So you're not going to get that type of quote from this man, SVG. Now, for us to really know a lot about where he is at this point in time, how he feels about the New Orleans Pelicans, you can find this episode on Apple Podcasts, but Zach Lowe had him on the Low Post and talked about the Pelicans, where they were at that point in time. And that was in late July, before the bubble started, I believe. But he recognized all their weaknesses. He talked about how bad they were before that 11-5 stretch, and before Zion came back. But he also recognizes all the good things. I mean, you can go to the recent tweet that he put up today and back, I believe it was July 13th, where he talked about the Pelicans, and he said, "How good can New Orleans be? Well, since Zion came back, they were 11-9 and ranked 11th offensively and 8th defensively. And they have 8 guys 25 or younger. Pelicans fans have to be excited." Another quote from him in this podcast is he said, "I don't know if anybody in the league has done a better job than David Griffin." And I mean, he said, look at all the people that he's added to this team, the players that he's added to this team. Obviously, you're looking at Lonzo, Josh Hart, Brandon Ingram, JJ Redick. He went out and got Derek Favors. He trusts David Griffin. If you trust your GM, your president of basketball operations, it sounds like these two are going to have a really good relationship. And Griff wants to control things. SVG will control things on the court. David Griffin will control the personnel. There's a very clear divide. You know your responsibilities. That's where people flourish, folks. This whole everybody's equal, the social hierarchy's flat is not what gets stuff done. This is what gets stuff done. Not only will there be structure on the court with the players, but there's structure between the front office, between ownership, and between coaching. So you love to see that. Also, SVG, who's known for this, he doesn't just talk the talk, but he walks the walk. He said that talent and flexibility have to be a huge part going forward. He said, who are the guys you're going to pay? Obviously, Zion, Brandon Ingram. That's what it's going to be. You have to know what you're going to do and base what you're going to do off of that. He said this team is exciting. They've got a lot of options. And in terms of flexibility, we know he's done a lot of different systems. We know he's been ahead of the curve in terms of what the teams he's coached do offensively. We know that he is going to tailor his scheme, what he does with this team based on the personnel rather than just coming in and saying, this is what I'm going to do, which is Alvin Gentry. It was a pace offense, and that's basically what it was. But SVG is going to hopefully bring in a space and pace sort of offense and really hunker down defensively, which is something Pels fans absolutely love to hear. We know that he has been in the top 10 extremely regularly on the offensive side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball, and Pels fans love to hear that. Now, I'm going to leave you with this. JJ Redick has really been the anchor of this team, at least in terms of personality. He said this on his podcast in 2016. I don't know that I've ever been around any coach that I played for, and I played for great coaches and play for a great coach right now, but I don't know if I've ever been around any coach who holds himself so accountable. Redick said this on the All the Smoke podcast as well. He said that Stan had a bigger impact on his career than any coach he has ever played for. Doc Rivers, Brett Brown, Alvin Gentry. So Brett Brown, Doc Rivers, more respectable names. But then you look at that and he said he's the best coach that he's ever played for in the NBA. Matt Barnes added to it. He said he was so prepared, worked so hard, took such responsibility on what he can control, and his attention to detail was crazy. Folks, this is it. This is the guy. This is who you want. Was he our top choice? Is he our top choice? I wouldn't say so. I was looking at different names. Jerry Stackhouse, Kenny Atkinson, Will Weaver was a name out there. I prefer SVG over Will Weaver, but he was a name that was brought into the conversation. And SVG is the guy. This is what you're looking for with this young team. You're looking for structure. You're looking for attention to detail. You're looking for buy-in. And SVG will create that, if anything, with the Pelicans. Folks, that has been today's short clip here on YouTube. Thanks so much for tuning in today. Again, if you want to hear the entire podcast, go check out BLEAV, BLEAV, in the New Orleans Pelicans on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, Stitcher, wherever you listen to those podcasts, and you subscribe, follow, leave a rate and review over there. And if you want to hear more from myself and other Pelicans writers, other Pelican podcasters, go follow at Eliot Clough on Twitter. Thanks so much, folks. Have a good one. Go Pels.